We have been through the most amazingly harmonized Psy-war campaign in the history of modern politics. I don't think that can be disputed. And credit where credit's due, for those that are experts in this area, and that is their core competence, largely military. I mean, this is fifth generation warfare that it's a suite of technologies, in many cases led by the UK historically, nudge units, etc. A suite of technologies that have been devised for offshore combat in the modern battle space against the likes of Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. And I argue, of course, the history of propaganda in warfare is as long as there's been warfare. But the level of capabilities that modern digital technology enables has not been readily available in the past. Argument is that it was first deployed effectively as a test fire during Arab Spring, in which Twitter, which was designed as a weapon, a Psy-war weapon, as Facebook has deep ties with the CIA, Twitter had deep ties, obviously, and we've learned a lot about that with CIA and FBI, changing under Elon Musk, one hopes. At least that's the veneer. That suite of technologies is so powerful that if a government chooses to deploy it against its citizens, I argue the concept of sovereignty and personal autonomy become obsolete. They're an anachronism. And clearly, there has been a willingness on the part of the Five Eyes nations, at a minimum, this Western alliance of intelligence agencies, your MI5 and MI6, our CIA and FBI, between UK, Canada, US, New Zealand, and Australia, some of the in the English-speaking nations, we could argue about Germany and Austria as also having gone pretty deep into this kind of totalitarian response that we've all observed. But that has clearly been coordinated among the Five Eyes nations. And we have documented evidence, thank you to the British press, for the collusion between the American CIA and British intelligence to suppress information about vaccine side effects, adverse events, under the thesis that any information which would lead people to become vaccine hesitant. I mean, think about the logic here. The thesis is that any information which would cause the citizens of the UK to become vaccine hesitant should be suppressed, whether true or not. Okay? That, if you take that position and turn it upside down, this is a red pill, blue pill, okay? That is essentially justifying a systematic barrier to informed consent. It is a national policy agreed upon by the United States government and the UK government to block informed consent under the thesis that we have a highly lethal virus, false, okay, under the thesis that we have a virus with a 3.4% case fatality rate. We knew very early on this was not the case. Jay Bhattacharya did a study in Stanford for which he was ridiculed, but a rigorous study that has withstood the test of time and got the right number, 0.02% case fatality rate, not 3.4. But under the thesis that we had such a lethal respiratory virus that we had to do something, or we were going to have people dying in the streets, under the thesis that this was such a lethal thing that we had to get something in everybody's arm. Remember, that was another one of the talking points, another one of the propaganda points. None of us are safe until all of us are safe. Everybody's got to take the jab. Okay? Everybody's got to think about the underlying logic. Everybody's got to take the jab. Why? Because if everybody takes the jab, we will get to herd immunity. Because the jab protects from infection and spread. Okay? Those are all lies. We can never get to herd immunity with these products. That was known very early on, okay? So, and these products do not stop infection and spread. Matter of fact, there's a recent letter from the European Medicines Agency that explicitly says that these products are not licensed for protection against infection and spread. We had the testimony in the European Parliament from the Pfizer VP. They never assessed whether or not these products were effective in preventing infection. Okay? So this was a lie. What else would you call it? Okay? They knew it was a falsehood. They repeated this falsehood. It was not grounded in the science, in true scientific data. It was grounded in false modeling from a laboratory with a long history of overestimating risk of infectious disease here in the UK. Yeah. And that was accepted as truth, consensus truth, by the World Health Organization and certainly the Western nations. And it was all a falsehood. But under the predicate that this was the case, that we had a massive national health emergency, and we would have mass graves, freezer vans full of dead bodies, hospitals jammed up to the rafters with patients on ventilators. Turns out the ventilators were part of the problem. And therefore, kind of anything goes. And we jettisoned our portfolio of learned knowledge about how to determine whether a vaccine specifically or a technology platform was safe and effective. So we threw that in the rubbish bin because 3.4% case fatality rate, and then anybody that questioned the safe and effective narrative, which had no qualifiers, what was safe, what was effective, okay? It was just repeated again and again and again. This is PSYOPs. When you see this is neurolinguistic programming. The lovely thing, in a paradoxical way, about all of this psy-war that has been deployed on the citizenry is that maybe it's still just a small minority, maybe it's only 5%, maybe it's 20% of the population, can now see the hidden hand that's been manipulating media for decades.